Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my new Captain America 4 video. They just released another first look, and they changed the title. It's now going to be Brave New World instead of New World Order. I'll explain why they did that. There is still the same meaning behind the title as there was before, but there were a couple important reasons why they wanted to change the title. They also released a first look at Harrison Ford and Sam Wilson's Captain America meeting each other behind the monitors, so I'll explain what's going on with them during the movie too, and what's on the monitors behind them. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. They're going to be releasing the movie around this time next year, so we won't have to wait that long to get the next big trailer. They do have Comic-Con coming next week. Vincent D'Onofrio already said they're going to have a big Daredevil Born Again panel, so there'll be a bunch more trailers they'll release there and a bunch more teasers and plans about what's happening the next couple of years with Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty, Avengers 6 Secret Wars, and everything else in Marvel Phase 6. But if you look at the picture here, you see Sam Wilson in his new costume, like they wanted to show an official look at his costume because one leaked a couple weeks ago. I did a video about that because it's kind of a janky potato quality picture. This is meant to be a nice shiny look at what his costume looks like. It's meant to be more of a stealth evolution of his last costume, like his last costume that he just got in Falcon and Winter Soldier mixed with Captain America's newer suit from Avengers Endgame. His brand new wings are still made of vibranium. If you look at the monitor on the upper right here, you can see that part of it's deployed. They're using it for some special effects reference. Like it looks like he's wearing a different suit, but it's meant to be the same suit. It just looks a little bit different because he's wearing a special piece on top that they use in special effects when they're in post-production to finish it, so that it's a little bit easier for them to finish the scene with him using his wings like that. You also notice that Harrison Ford is sitting there watching the playback and he's just wearing a regular t-shirt. The reason why he's not wearing any special clothes is because most of his role is actually motion capture. For the most part, when Robert Downey Jr. was making all the Avengers movies, all the previous Iron Man movies, he just walked around with dots on his face. There are scenes earlier in the movie when they're at that funeral where he's wearing a normal suit, but I think most of the movie he is supposed to be Red Hulk. The monitor that's right in front of him on the left side is just some foliage, it's like some plant life. They're meant to be on Tiamat's body. One of the biggest plot points in the movie is meant to be them racing to grab all the resources on Tiamat's body before the other world nations do. The actual title, Brave New World, is taken both from William Shakespeare's Tempest and Aldous Huxley's novel by the same name, and during the plot of that book, the world turns into something more akin to what Hydra had planned for the world during Captain America Winter Soldier. The original title, New World Order, had a deeper meaning that connected to that. During that movie, Arnim Zola talks about Hydra's grand plan, saying that their New World Order is about to begin.
Once the purification process is complete, Hydra's New World Order will arise.
That's what the movie title, Captain America New World Order, means. The Serpent Society with Sharon Carter herself, Val, Thunderbolt Ross, Red Hulk are basically trying to take over, create a new world order. So the movie will have a very Winter Soldier type of vibe with all this crazy Red Hulk stuff going on in it and this adamantium stuff. Probably the main reason why they changed the title from New World Order to Brave New World is because New World Order has a connection with this big QAnon conspiracy theory that's really distasteful in real life. Before they changed the title, I was not familiar with that conspiracy theory. Like, I actually had to look it up, but once I did read about it, I was like, oh yeah, it's probably better that they did change the title. So even though the title is changing, the main plot, like everything about the movie, the themes, all that stuff is the same. One of the other big new things that they revealed too is that Rosa Salazar is playing Diamondback from the Serpent Society. I believe she's meant to be the leader of their group during the film. The Serpent Society has deep ties to Val in the movie, or they're supposed to have deep ties to Val because she's also called Madam Hydra in the comics. Serpent Society is a group that comes through Hydra. There were a couple references to this during Falcon and Winter Soldier when she was introducing herself for the first time and joking about all the different crazy names that she had. During some of the other scenes we got first looks at, it looks like the Serpent Society has their base on Tiamat's body, and I believe part of the idea during the movie is that initially she hires them through her CIA contacts, like she's in control of the CIA. If you're not familiar with the way the CIA works inside the United States government, they're mostly concerned with foreign affairs, not internal affairs. That's mostly the FBI that deals with internal stuff. Part of the idea is that when Thunderbolt Ross becomes US president, she starts using her resources that are actually legit now because Thunderbolt Ross tells her to use her resources to get all of the resources on Tiamat's body. And I believe part of the idea is that that's where they're going to find adamantium. So I believe she hires the Serpent Society on the DL and things go sideways and Sam Wilson's Captain America has to deal with it. And once he does deal with the Serpent Society, that paves the way for Val to create the Thunderbolts in the Thunderbolts movie. Like, they're waiting on deck. Like, she hasn't quite created them yet. The events of Captain America 4 will lead directly into Thunderbolts. That's meant to be the very end of Marvel Phase 5, culminating with Val using the Weapons Plus program to create the Sentry, played by Steven Yeun. It's now been confirmed that he is playing the MCU Sentry. The brand new scenes that just posted are of a battle that Sam's Captain America is getting ready to have with the Serpent Society while wearing his brand new super suit. Everyone gets new suits in their movies. Spider-Man always gets new suits, Iron Man, even Steve Rogers' Captain America got new versions of the suit. The funny reason why they said they got rid of Sam's cowl from the comics, though, is because they said when they were making Falcon and Winter Soldier, the cowl caused them all kinds of trouble while filming. They had to spend a bunch of money to fix it in post, so they just got rid of it completely to make it easier for them to film. The characters here he's getting ready to fight might seem familiar. This is Seth Rollins, most of you know from the WWE. I believe he's playing Cobra or Constrictor, one of the bigger members of the Serpent Society, fighting with Rosa Salazar's Diamondback character, as denoted by the diamond on her suit. They just changed her suit from the comics. She's fought Sam Wilson's Captain America before. So it's Val continuing to be super shady, working with villains. She kind of implied that during Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're not going to need Captain America. Things are going to get real weird real fast, meaning that she's going to get super shady real fast. The next scenes we have are actually from a funeral that they're doing, and a lot of people are wondering whose funeral is this meant to be. The rumor is that she's playing his love interest in the movie, also from the military. Makes sense. Torres is also back from Falcon and Winter Soldier. He's still Captain America, or Falcon, however you want to think about him, his sidekick. By the events of this movie, it'll be like the progression in the comics. When Anthony Mackie becomes Captain America, Torres becomes the new Falcon with a new set of wings.
So like online, there's just been a lot of stuff about Steve, actually. Some people, they think that he's in the secret base on the moon.
Here's the big thing, though. They brought back Liv Tyler as Betty Ross from way back in the Incredible Hulk movie, like she's finally back. There have been rumors about her coming back and cameoing at some point for a long time now. They haven't confirmed any kind of crazy multiverse cameo scenes from Edward Norton as his Bruce Banner Hulk, but there are a lot of other characters from that Incredible Hulk movie that are back during this. As you can see, Betty Ross is dressed in the customary black in U.S. funerals. If you look around at the tombstones in the cemetery where they're at this funeral, there aren't any big Easter eggs on the tombstone names, but that doesn't really mean anything necessarily. Marvel will probably alter those tombstone names in post-production just to avoid spoilers. But here's the thing, this funeral they're at is probably for Thunderbolt Ross himself. There's a new scene of him on set, separate, like a completely different scene, wearing a regular dress suit, and if you didn't realize, they did recast Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. William Hurt passed away recently. Originally, it was going to be him in the movie, and the reason why they wanted to recast him instead of using a completely different character is because Thunderbolt Ross's character was so critical to the plot that they're doing, the overarching plot for all of Marvel Phase 5, like this whole Dark Reign era that they're doing in the MCU, because they wanted to turn Thunderbolt Ross into Red Hulk during this movie, and they didn't want to completely pivot and just turn Val into Red Hulk. Like, they have other plans for Val.
God damn it, I want what's inside I am!
Val's other alias in the comics is Madam Hydra, and she's critical to the villain storyline during the movie, though. Like, there's a lot of shady stuff going on in the background. She's kind of a villain in the same way that Sharon Carter is a villain. Like, characters that don't actually have superpowers just work with technology or wield enormous political influence. So what I think is actually going on in this funeral scene that they're filming is that Val and Thunderbolt Ross are pretending like Thunderbolt Ross dies during the movie and using that as an excuse so the public will stop thinking about him. Like, it'll be a great tragedy and they'll use it to their advantage. But they use this to fool all the heroes like Anthony Mackie's Captain America as well, so that everyone thinks that he's dead, stops worrying about him. And while that's happening, Val uses the Weapons Plus program, and the leader character, who's also back from Incredible Hulk, you notice he's green now like he is in the comics. You can see Tim Blake Nelson getting ready for another scene here. His hands are painted green because they're just doing the rest of the green for his body and motion capture, his larger head, the visual effects, so he doesn't have to wear a giant rubber head around on set. Val's going to use him to turn Thunderbolt Ross into the Red Hulk because this whole thing Incredible Hulk was experimenting with the Hulk's blood. But when it comes to all the action, like the big fight scenes, you have to remember that he's going to be motion capture Red Hulk for most of the movie, so they can do all the crazy Hulk versus Red Hulk versus other characters like Red Hulk versus Captain America fights, and it's no big deal. Also, by the events of the movie, Thunderbolt Ross is supposed to have become U.S. president. I believe something's supposed to happen to the previous U.S. president during the Secret Invasion series because Secret Invasion led to Dark Reign in the comics. That's what they're using the Secret Invasion series to set up in the MCU. I believe during the series, something's supposed to happen to that previous U.S. president, like they find out that he's secretly a Skrull or he winds up dying or is assassinated in some way. According to Don Cheadle, who we see Rhodey in all the Secret Invasion trailers, by the events of Secret Invasion, he's meant to be the right-hand man advisor to that previous U.S. president. And once something happens to that previous president, that paves the way for Thunderbolt Ross to become president, and they'll use him for like a Norman Osborn-style twist at the end of the comic book Secret Invasion, where he winds up taking most of the credit for getting rid of the bad Skrulls. Everybody loves him, but he's Thunderbolt Ross, so he uses that to gain more power by becoming the U.S. president. And when that happens, he just opens the floodgates and lets Val do whatever she wants to do, all the shady stuff that they normally would think was too crazy to do. We'll start getting some more teasers and trailers later this year. Of course, I'll do more videos. If you have any big questions about what's going on, just leave them in the comments below. The next big thing that's happening will be the Secret Invasion episodes. We only have to wait a couple more weeks for that. That'll set up the Dark Reign storyline that you'll see them pay off during Captain America 4. I just posted my review of the Flash movie. You can click here for that, and click here for all my Secret Invasion trailer videos. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.